everyone? Welcome back to This Week in Throws on the Road. We're in the middle of Arizona right now. Audrey's here. She's driving right now, holding it down. The drive is going well. We're probably like 10-ish hours into it now, with like 30 more to go. But yeah, we're rocking and rolling, and we're here to bring you some This Week in Throws.
Can we give some context for stuff in the back?
Oh yeah, well we have Audrey said to give context for all the stuff in the back. We have, I don't know, probably like a third of all of Audrey's earthly belongings in the back of the car right now, and some of my stuff because I was in California all summer. But yeah. The car is stuffed to the gills, as you can see. And we're, like I said, we're rocking and rolling. It's cramped in here, but it's what we got to do. This is going to be kind of a national championships roundup from across the world. There are some throws in here that weren't from national championships because it's been like 2 weeks or so since I've done one of these, but pretty much people I talk about today won national titles, so congratulations to them. And yeah, let's hop right into it with probably the performance of the week. Luiz Mauricio da Silva, Brazilian javelin thrower, smashes his own South American record, going 91 meters on the dot in Sao Paulo this past weekend. Good Lord, that is a massive throw. It was a PB by like 4.5 meters for him, and he had thrown, that was on his second attempt, I believe. His first attempt was 90.68, so he got two really good ones to go out there this week, and he's had such an impressive season already. He's thrown 86 twice, and I believe both times he reset his own South American record. And Jav is in an interesting spot because when Niraj and Julian Weber both threw 90 and 91 in Doha back in May, good Lord, someone just cut off Audrey real bad. Anyway, back to talking about Luiz Mauricio da Silva. Absolute stud driver right here. She's hanging on even though people are really stupid. Like when Julian and Niraj went 91 and 90 in Doha, it's like, okay, they're clearly the top two, but neither one of them have really had a performance anywhere close to that recently. I think both of them have been over 88 one more time since then, maybe. But it's men's jav is like super wide open, and Luiz da Silva, like he's thrown 91 now. He's thrown 86 on multiple occasions. I think he's thrown an 85 in there as well. So like, this is obviously an outlier performance, but he's competed a little bit more, I will say. But he's been basically as consistent as Julian and Niraj have been. Arshad Nadim's still a question mark because I think he's only competed once this year and threw like 86.50 or something. Jakub Adlich is MIA. But like, Da Silva could absolutely like be in the mix for medals in Tokyo. And like, he finished pretty well in the final last year in Paris, I think. But this mark is just, it's a next level that just builds a ton of confidence as we get closer and closer to Tokyo. We're going to move on to men's hammer now, where, we already talked about Rudy's huge day in Eugene going 81.47.
Rudy's a huge Paulie throws fan.
Rudy Winkler is a huge Paulie throws fan. That feels good to say. American record holders on my side. But yeah, so Rudy had a good day in Eugene, but the best throw we saw at a national championships was Bence Halasz at the Hungarian Championships. He threw 81.94. And, he's been at the top of the game for a couple years now, but it was really good to see this kind of a performance out of him because these Arizona highways are not the smoothest things in the world. He had been over 80 6 times in the past 2 or 3 years or something, but he never gone over 81. And now he almost skips the 81s entirely and nearly breaks 82. So it's hard to say, this is a guy that won silver in Paris last year. And he medaled in Budapest the year before that. So saying he's a strong medal contender is a very obvious statement. But we're in a year where there's 6 guys now that have thrown 81 meters. Obviously, Rudy's thrown 83. Ethan's thrown 82 high. The level of men's hammer throwing across the world this year is so high. And just when we get to Tokyo, that is going to be one of the best competitions of the entire meet, bar none. Because you have Ethan, who's the clear top dog coming in, the defending world and Olympic champion. And last year he was throwing at a level we haven't seen in years and years and years. And there's so many guys that have stepped up and elevated their level to try and match what Ethan was doing last year. And so far, they're doing it. They're giving him true competition. I just can't wait to see how that one shakes out in Tokyo. Ethan did have a good day at Canadian Championships, going 81.33. Very Ethan Katzberg-like series with 4 more throws over 80. And then Thomas Mordal at the Norwegian Championships went 78.44, which is a PB for him. He's now been over 78 twice this year, and that's the only 2 times of his career he's been over 78, so he's throwing better than he ever has been. It's kind of unfortunate because 78.44 is a really good mark, but you're in a situation where it's not outlandish to say there's a world where that mark would finish 8th in Tokyo. But that's a crazy far mark. So that's just how spoiled we are as throws fans right now in terms of really everything, but especially the men's hammer. Men's disc, there are some good ones. Of course, led by Miklos Alekna, going 72-15 at the Lithuanian Championships. It's the 4th time of his career he's thrown 72. The 2nd time he's done it outside of Ramona. The 8th meet of his career over 71 meters. This guy's just really good. He also had a 70. That was on his first throw. And then his last throw was 70-93, I think, to close out a series with, I think, every legal throw over 69. So yeah, it's Miklos doing Miklos things.
I feel we're past the point of labeling things as outside of Ramona. I mean, with Val last weekend too. I feel it's just normal for people to be throwing that far in less ideal conditions.
That's a very good point, Audrey. Audrey knows ball. Audrey throws. That is a very valid point. Mainly, it's just at this point, I mean, Miklos proved it when he threw 72 at West Regionals, and then he threw 71-70 in London. It's just for the people watching, for the people that pay attention to this channel, I think they probably understand the context of Miklos and Val and Maddie Denny aren't strictly Ramona merchants or whatever. I think it is just significant to kind of continue to give that reminder. But yeah, they have definitely proven at this point multiple times that they can throw really freaking far outside of Ramona. I just saw something today that Val's 71.45 last week from pre was the farthest throw inside a stadium this millennium, which makes perfect sense. Yeah, like that makes sense. And so Miklos has the farthest in stadium throw ever. Val has the farthest in stadium throw this century, which means probably the farthest clean in stadium throw in all likelihood, but we'll not get into that. So yeah, like these people have consistently proven they can throw really far outside Ramona.
Jason Aldean.
I'm gonna have to edit that out. Daniel Stahl went big to win another Swedish title. He went 68-83. Christian Che, after winning the Slovenian shot put title, I think he threw a P. I think he posted about it on Instagram. I think he threw a PB of like 1850 or something, which not bad. 68-41 for Christian to win the Slovenian title, and then we had the competition that I have been hyping up so much all year. We finally had that German championships men's discus competition. Henrik Janssen takes the win in 68-41. Steven Richter goes 68-27 in round 6 to finish second. And Mika Sosna finishes third at 67-24. This one, it lived up to the hype. And Henrik, he wrapped it up early with that big one. I think his big one was in round 3. But for Steven, getting that throw in round 6 moved him ahead of Mika Sosna into second, which is a really big deal because the way that Germany selects their team, at least what Mika Sosna told me in April in Ramona, is it's top 2 at trial or at championships, and then they have a discretionary spot. And for the European Team Championships, which were earlier this summer, Mika, where they only take one thrower, Mika Sosna was selected as the German representative there. I don't know if that discretionary spot works the same way as the discretionary spot for Worlds would, but assuming it does, then that makes me really like Mika's chances of getting the discretionary spot for Worlds. Whereas for Steven, I think it would have been more of a question mark, given Clemens Proofer would have been in the mix, who finished 6th at Paris last year. He finished 5th here at German Championships. And it hasn't been that great of a season for him after he threw 71 in Ramona early on in the season. He's had a couple 66s, but not quite he hasn't quite continued to carry that form over the way guys like Henrik and Mika and Steven have. So it wasn't super shocking to see him not finish top 3, but I think if the decision was between him and Steven Richter, I feel like maybe just going off because Steven Richter's also, I think, he's really young like Mika. I think he's 22 or 23. So it probably might have not gone in his favor. So it was really good to see him get that big mark in round 6. And then for Mika, it's another really good day for him throwing 67-24. That team is going to be so good at Worlds. I'm really excited to see the way they compete. And yeah, I think Mika probably is going to get the discretionary spot. But I also have no idea how accurate my assumption is. Moving on to shot now. Leo Fabry. He's back. 22-82. Huge mark. It's the first time he's cracked into his personal top 10 this year, which is just all from last year because he was so insane. And it's exciting it's exciting to see a mark this big, even though we saw some really big marks at USA's, with Josh's 22-47, Payne's 22-35. But 22-82 is next level stuff. So for Leo, he's been building his season so well. He's been over 22, I think, 3 of his last 6 competitions now. And this 22-82 is just massive. And the series wasn't anything crazy. He kind of just found it on one throw. But yeah, that's ridiculous. Men's shot is going to be insane in Tokyo because you've got all these guys that are throwing really far right now, And now they've got another month and a half to just keep working and keep getting better. And like for Josh, it's exciting because he's getting more and more like comfortable into his throw after dealing with some injuries and whatnot. I'm not 100% certain what I don't think Leo was hurt or anything this year. I think he was just kind of maybe going on the same line as Peyton and just building his season a little slower than he did last year. But it's clearly working really well for him, and yeah, I can't wait to see what we got in store for Leo coming up. All right, moving on to some of the women's throws now, and the biggest meet for women's throws, aside from USA's, was Chinese championships because we saw two world junior record holders reset their own records in a big, big way. We're going to start with my GOAT, my absolute favorite, Ziyi, baby. That's my GOAT. She's back. She went to Europe for a couple competitions with like some senior ladies. Didn't go super great. But she's back in China and she's back throwing 70 or not 70, not yet. 65.89 as a 16-year-old. What? She tacks on a meter to her PB. She is almost 2 meters better than any other U20 athlete in world history. It's a damn shame she's not going to be at Worlds. World Athletics, your rule is stupid. You should change it. She's the third best thrower in the world now this year, behind only Adriana Vilagos and Victoria Hudson. And she's thrown 64 twice, I think. She's thrown 62, 60 a bunch of times, and now a shade under 66. Like, she could be a legitimate gold medal threat. And World Athletics is just like, nah, she's too young. It's stupid. And that rule needs to change, and I hate it. Women's hammer, Zhang Jiali, resets her own world hammer record. She was already about 2 meters better than any other U20 athlete in history. She's now almost 4 meters better than any other U20 athlete in world history. She threw 77.24. That number doesn't feel real for an 18-year-old. I think she's... Okay, let me think. Janae is 8th all-time at 78 meters flat. That's gotta... And then Annette is like 23rd all-time at like 75.49. So she's probably like the 15th best hammer thrower in world history a couple months before her 19th birthday. That's nutty. That is just silly. Really, really crazy stuff. Thank God, though, she actually is 18, because that means she's actually able to compete in Tokyo, which is really exciting because she's now the 5th best thrower in the world this year. And did anyone ahead of her? No, because the only major one who didn't make Team USA is Annette, and she's only through 75 this year. So this is an 18-year-old that's going to be competing with Cameron Rogers and Deanna Price and Brooke Anderson and Rachel Richardson and Celia Kosonen and Krista Turvo, who tied. They both went 73-38, I think, at Finnish Nationals. And I believe Celia won on count back. But I'm going to say it every time. Tokyo is going to be really fun for this one, too. Like, it's not the most interesting analysis to just say, man, the World Championships are going to be pretty fun. But it's like this year's just the deepest year of throwing ever. And it's so good in, like, basically every single event. Women's hammer is going to rock. I can't wait. And then the final note from Chinese championships is Gongli Zhao is 39 years old, I think, now, and still throwing 1979. What the hell? Like, she had thrown, I think, 1962 at the Jamen Diamond League, and then 1920 or something at pre. Like, she had been throwing well, but 1979 is just frightening. I mean, that's probably not going to podium this year with how good Chase has been throwing, and then Sarah and Jess. Sarah and Jess pretty comfortably won their national championships. I think Sarah threw 1925 at Canadian Nationals, and Jess, I think, threw 1946 at Dutch Nationals. So they didn't really have to be pushed, I guess, this week. But yeah, with the way those three have been throwing, like, medaling is going to be insanely hard. But Gong is still saying that she is still firmly in that kind of conversation, which isn't really surprising because she's just going to be in that conversation until the day, I don't know, like the heat death of the universe, probably. But yeah, 1979 it's a really, really impressive mark. So that's it for Chinese nationals, and then just a couple big throws we saw from across the world. Canadian nationals, Cameron Rogers threw 77-30. Good answer to what Deanna Price did. Obviously, that was a bit less stressful of a competition than USA's was. So Cam didn't necessarily need to be peeking into this one or going all out or whatever she would have needed to do. But 77-30, still a damn good mark. And then this wasn't at Swedish Nationals. Vanessa Kamga did still win Swedish Nationals, but I think she only threw like 61 there. A week before, though, at a different meet in Sweden, she threw 65-67, which breaks what I believe was her own national record. And that's exciting to see because Vanessa had such a good year last year, but then really was not carrying that over into 2025 super well to this point. Especially like in Diamond Leagues, she hadn't really been throwing that well. But this, like, she had thrown, I think, 64 high at a smaller meet somewhere. But coming up with a 65-67 and like throwing a PB with the way her season has gone so far, that's super duper encouraging. And I'm excited to see what is in store for Vanessa because I think she's still pretty young. Like, she might only be 26 or 27 maybe. So there's still a lot of room for growth for her. But especially after a slower start to this season where those second and third spots on the podium in Tokyo are pretty open. And 65-67 is a mark that definitely could get you in the mix for those. So that was good to see. All right, this very quick this week in throws. Quick little, just nice little nationals rundown. Let me know in the comments if there's anything that I missed, because I wasn't able to do my normal research kind of in the car, but whatever. Yeah, if there's anything I missed, drop it down and let me know. It was national championships. It was a good week. Obviously, USA's was the best. Like, let's not even pretend like it wasn't. But there were some good comps when you look at, like, Finnish women's hammer, German men's disc. There were some huge marks, and it was a good week. It's always a good week in throws this year. So we're very lucky that's the case. Audrey, do you have anything to add while we're driving to Jersey Mike?
Proud of you for keeping this within, what, like 30 minutes?
25
minutes.
26 right now. This is pretty impressive
Probably more
stuff.
efficient.
This is pretty impressive stuff by my standards. But
On 3 times speed, that's like 10 minutes.
yeah, you got to get YouTube Premium. All right. Thank you guys for watching this incoherent yap sesh. Like I said, drop in the comments if I missed anything. Like, subscribe, por favor, please. Follow the podcast on Spotify. Like I said last week, I am now on Apple Podcasts. I figured out how to do that, so check it out there if you so choose. And Audrey's running red lights.
That was yellow. That's why I hit the roof.
And yeah, I'll see you. Oh, I don't have a hand to point like I usually do. But P off Mahoney on Twitter, Paulie Throws on Instagram. I will see you guys next time.